You've been lied to your whole life. They told you that caring more makes you a better person, that sacrificing yourself for others is the path to love and acceptance. But here's the truth no one dares to say out loud. The more you care about everything and everyone, the more trapped you become. Your freedom isn't stolen by others. It's handed over by you, one anxious thought at a time. Think about it. How much of your life is spent overanalyzing, people-pleasing, or chasing validation from those who barely notice your efforts? What if I told you that the key to peace, confidence, and real connection isn't in caring more, but in caring less? Yeah, I know, it sounds cold, maybe even rebellious. But trust me, it's the most liberating shift you'll ever make. When you finally stop pouring your energy into things that don't deserve it, your life transforms overnight. You sleep better. You breathe easier. You show up authentically, without the weight of constant overthinking. And the best part? Everything you've been chasing, love, respect, success, starts coming to you naturally without the exhausting performance. Most people will never make this shift. They'll stay stuck in the cycle, believing that their endless emotional labor will eventually pay off. But not you. You're here because you're ready for a different path. A smarter, quieter, more powerful way of living. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to get there. So if you've ever felt emotionally drained, frustrated by how much you care, or just tired of being the one who always shows up, stay with me. What you're about to learn might just be the thing that sets you free forever. You know, one of the biggest energy drains in your life is caring too much about things that don't actually matter. It's like running a marathon every single day, but instead of crossing a finish line, you just collapse from exhaustion. You obsess over what someone might have meant by that vague text or replay awkward conversations in your head like a broken record. And yet, ironically, most of the people you're worried about aren't giving you a second thought. It's a tough pill to swallow, but here's the truth. Much of what you call caring is actually a sneaky form of self-sabotage. You tell yourself it's because you're empathetic, responsible, or emotionally intelligent, but deep down, it's often about craving validation. Feels noble, right? But it quietly erodes your energy, your focus, and ultimately your peace of mind. Let me give you an example. Think about how often you check your phone after sending a vulnerable message, anxiously waiting for a response that might never come. You're trapped in this loop, giving your energy away to someone who probably just got distracted by a YouTube video or their dinner. That's the hidden drain. Pouring yourself out for people who don't even realize it. If you keep this up, you'll eventually start mistaking this pattern for being a good person. But here's the catch. Constantly overcaring doesn't make you noble. It makes you tired, resentful, and disconnected from your true self. It's like holding out a cup of water to everyone else while dying of thirst yourself. You can't give from an empty cup, my friend. And when you start noticing how one-sided most of this emotional investment is, it stings. You realize that the people you bend over backward for don't usually reciprocate at the same intensity. That's not because they're bad people. It's because they're simply living their lives, not overthinking like you. This realization isn't meant to make you bitter, but free. Now, I want you to sit with this. What if you could redirect all that emotional energy towards something that actually nourishes you? Imagine the clarity and peace that would bring. But hey, we'll get to that in just a moment. Here's something that might surprise you. The only real control you have in life is over where you place your attention. Everything else, people's opinions, unpredictable events, even your own emotions, are often outside your immediate control. But your focus? That's yours. When you stop handing out your precious energy like free samples at a grocery store, you'll notice something miraculous. Your life gets lighter. I know this because I've been there, drained, distracted, and stretched thin by things that didn't deserve my attention. But when I finally decided to redirect that energy inward, everything changed. My sleep improved, my anxiety faded, and I found myself speaking more authentically. Instead of rehearsing conversations in my head, I started living them in real time. And you can too. Think of it this way, your energy is like money. Would you keep investing in a stock that never pays dividends? Of course not. Yet, every time you obsess over someone's opinion or stress about things you can't change, that's exactly what you're doing. Instead, try investing that energy in habits that pay off, like journaling, learning a new skill, or simply sitting quietly with yourself. It's funny how happiness works. You probably think it comes from fixing everything or pleasing everyone. But actually, happiness sneaks in when you stop fussing over what doesn't matter. It shows up in the quiet moments, like when you finally stop ruminating about that conversation from last week, and just enjoy your coffee without the mental clutter. Let me be clear. Redirecting your energy isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming selective. There's a huge difference. When you focus only on what truly matters, you show up more fully for yourself and the people who actually deserve your presence. That's not selfish, it's wise. And as you start to reclaim this energy, you'll notice something else. The desire to overthink and overanalyze begins to fade. Minimalism, especially in your emotional life, isn't about having less. It's about making space for more of what nourishes you. Let's explore that next. Let's clear something up right away. Emotional minimalism is not about shutting down your feelings or becoming some kind of unfeeling robot. Nope. It's about becoming wise enough to know which emotions are worth your time and which ones are just noise. You've probably been told that feeling everything deeply makes you more human. But what if that's only half the truth? When you start practicing emotional minimalism, you stop giving premium real estate in your mind to every passing thought or trivial drama. It doesn't mean you stop feeling joy, love, or excitement. Quite the opposite, actually. You start experiencing those emotions more vividly because your mental space isn't cluttered with unnecessary worries. Peace, my friend, comes from this kind of discernment. Think about it. How many times have you spent hours stewing over a comment someone made, only to realize later that they probably didn't even mean it that way? That's emotional clutter. Minimalism asks you to pause and ask, does this deserve my energy? If the answer is no, you let it go. Simple in theory, I know, but transformative in practice. Here's a practical step you can take. Next time you feel overwhelmed by emotions, make a list. Split it in 2 columns: matters deeply and doesn't deserve space. Be honest. You'll be amazed how much of your stress lives in that second column. This isn't cold-hearted. It's a way to protect your emotional bandwidth for what really matters. Living with this kind of intentionality shifts everything. You no longer feel the need to perform, to over-explain, or to people-please just to maintain fragile connections. Instead, you become grounded, peaceful, and aligned with your real self. That's when you start noticing how your energy shifts from chaos to calm without forcing it. And here's where things get interesting. Once you taste this peace, you begin to see that caring less doesn't mean you feel less. It means you feel better, more authentically, and without the constant emotional hangover. And oddly enough, that shift opens the door to something paradoxical. Here's the twist you probably didn't see coming. When you finally stop chasing happiness, approval, and validation, they start showing up at your doorstep, uninvited but welcome. It sounds almost too good to be true, right? But that's the paradox of caring less. The more you let go, the more life flows in your favor, like a river finding its natural course. You've spent so much time chasing after people's attention, hoping they'd notice your efforts, your kindness, your reliability. But in doing that, you've likely ignored one crucial thing: yourself. It's wild how much we give to others while neglecting our own needs. You check your phone obsessively, hoping for that text back, while the other person is out living their life without a second thought. Let me paint you a common scenario. You send a message, then wait, overthinking every possible reason for their delay. Meanwhile, they're probably scrolling through memes or taking a nap. See the imbalance? You've invested emotional energy into someone who isn't even aware of it. That's not connection. That's self-neglect dressed up as caring. When you stop over-investing in situations like this, you reclaim not just your time but your self-worth. Suddenly, you're no longer sitting around waiting for others to validate you. Instead, you're out there creating your own joy, whether it's by reading that book you've been putting off or finally taking that solo trip you've always dreamed of. And here's the beauty of it. The less desperate you are for connection, the more authentic your connections become. People are drawn to those who are at peace with themselves, not those frantically seeking approval. It's magnetic. They feel your calm and confidence, and ironically, they start wanting to be closer to you. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Because as you begin to care less about external validation, you'll also realize how crucial it is to guard something even more precious: your inner space. Let me tell you something you might not hear often. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. I know it feels harsh at first, but it's necessary. When you let just anyone stroll into your emotional space, you end up exhausted, resentful, and drained. Your peace is precious, and if you don't guard it, someone else will take it without even realizing. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood. People might label you as cold or distant when you stop answering every late-night call or agreeing to things out of obligation. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates to decide who gets in. And those who truly value you will respect those gates without needing an explanation. You've probably noticed how exhausting it is to be constantly reactive, always explaining yourself, defending your choices, or softening your truth to avoid conflict. But when you guard your inner space, you learn the art of selective engagement. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to react to every provocation. That's real strength. One of the most liberating things you'll experience is realizing that emotional peace is quiet. It's not loud declarations or dramatic exits. It's a simple, steady presence, an unshakable calm when someone tries to trigger you, and you just don't bite. Not because you're weak, but because you've mastered the art of choosing your battles. Here's something practical. Next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this worth disturbing my peace for? 9 times out of 10, it's not. This practice alone can save you countless hours of stress and regret. Guarding your inner space is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. And as you get better at this, you'll naturally shift from reacting to observing. You'll start seeing people's true colors not through what they say, but through how they handle your silence. And that, my friend, takes us right into the next layer of this journey. There comes a moment when you realize that reacting to everything is just exhausting. You've probably been there, playing emotional ping pong, volleying back every jab, defending every misunderstood word. But here's the thing, when you stop reacting and start observing, everything changes. People begin to reveal themselves without you needing to say a word. Of course, some folks won't like this shift. They'll mistake your calm for arrogance, your silence for indifference. But that's on them, not you. When you choose observation over reaction, you're not withdrawing, you're conserving your energy, protecting your peace. It's about no longer being a puppet to other people's triggers. Imagine you're at a family gathering and someone makes a passive-aggressive comment. You might have fired back, defending yourself or trying to explain your side. But now, you pause, you observe, and you let them sit with their own discomfort. You realize their words say more about them than they ever did about you. Observation gives you clarity. Instead of getting tangled up in emotional drama, you stand outside of it, watching as patterns unfold. People who thrive on conflict will find this unsettling. They rely on your reactions to feel seen or heard. When you stop feeding that cycle, they're left facing their own noise, while you enjoy your inner silence. Here's a little practice for you. Next time someone tries to provoke you, don't respond right away. Count to 5. Watch their body language, listen to their tone, and ask yourself what they're really seeking. Most of the time, it's not even about you. It's about their own unresolved issues. Observation turns you into a student of human behavior, not a victim of it. And as you settle into this new mode of being, you'll notice something even more profound. Silence becomes your most powerful form of self-respect. Not every misunderstanding needs to be cleared up, and not every role you've played needs to continue. But let's explore that more deeply in the next part. Here's something I wish someone had told me sooner. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Seriously, choosing silence in the face of misunderstanding isn't weakness, it's self-respect. Every time you refuse to react to petty comments or misinterpretations, you reclaim a little more of your power. Not everyone deserves a front-row seat to your inner world. You've probably felt the urge to defend yourself when someone gets you wrong. It's natural, we all want to be understood. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away quietly. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in peace. Let your absence speak louder than your words ever could. Trust me, silence leaves an impression most explanations never will. Think about the roles you've played in your life, the peacekeeper, the fixer, the always available friend. How many of those roles still serve you? How many drain you? Sometimes, self-respect means stepping away from conversations, relationships, or even identities that no longer align with who you're becoming. That's not quitting, that's evolving. Here's a practical move. The next time someone tries to drag you into an argument, try responding with silence. Not the kind of cold, punishing silence, but a calm, grounded pause. See how it shifts the dynamic. Often, people will reveal more in your silence than they ever would in your engagement. And you stay rooted in your peace. The beautiful thing about this practice is that it frees up your emotional energy for what truly matters. You stop wasting time clarifying, justifying, or over-explaining. Instead, you focus on living with integrity, knowing that your actions, not your explanations, define you. It's about making peace with not always being understood. And when you embrace this kind of silent strength, you'll naturally move from performative peace, where you pretend everything's fine, to genuine self-respect. But we're just getting to the heart of that shift. You know that act you've been putting on? Smiling, nodding, keeping the peace just to avoid conflict? That's what I call performative peace. It looks calm on the outside, but inside, it's anything but. You're suppressing your truth, bending to fit others' expectations, and slowly eroding your self-respect. Real peace, the kind that doesn't keep you up at night, only comes from aligning with who you truly are. The shift happens when you realize that strength isn't about being invulnerable, it's about being selective. Selective with your energy, your time, and especially your emotions. You don't have to respond to every request, nor do you need to manage everyone's perceptions of you. Your value isn't measured by how well you keep others comfortable. I've been there, saying yes when I wanted to say no, staying quiet to avoid ruffling feathers. But over time, that performative peace turned into quiet resentment. It wasn't until I started honoring my own boundaries, even if it meant disappointing others, that I found genuine self-respect. That kind of peace is solid. It doesn't depend on others' approval. Here's something practical. Start by noticing when you're acting out of obligation versus authenticity. Next time you agree to something, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid not to? That simple question can reveal so much about where you've been sacrificing yourself for the sake of maintaining a false peace. And let's be clear, detachment isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about creating clean boundaries so that your emotional well-being isn't at the mercy of every external situation. You can still care about people deeply, but without allowing their chaos to disrupt your center. That's the art of living with genuine self-respect. As you embrace this shift, you'll also begin to understand something even more nuanced: the difference between empathy and overextending yourself. Not every emotional burden is yours to carry, and that insight changes everything. Here's something most people don't tell you. Empathy without boundaries will drain you dry. You've likely been praised for being so empathetic, for always being there, for absorbing other people's pain like a sponge. But let me ask you, how's that working out for you? Probably exhausting, right? That's because empathy without discernment turns into self-neglect. You need to understand that not every emotional vibe you encounter needs to be absorbed. Just because someone is anxious, angry, or loss doesn't mean it's your job to carry their emotional luggage. You can be compassionate without becoming a receptacle for every mood in the room. That's what energetic boundaries are all about, deciding what you allow into your inner space. Here's a simple example. Imagine walking into a room where someone is visibly upset. You might have rushed in, taking on their emotions, feeling responsible for making them feel better. But now, you can acknowledge their feelings without making them yours. A simple, "I see you're upset. Is there anything you need from me?" sets a boundary while still offering support. Energetic boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your own emotional health. You wouldn't drink from a polluted river, right? So why let toxic or overwhelming energies flood your mind? Learning to say, "That's not mine to carry," is one of the most liberating phrases you can adopt. Here's something to try. The next time you feel overwhelmed in a social setting, pause and mentally ask yourself, "Is this my emotion or someone else's?" That moment of awareness can prevent you from absorbing stress that doesn't belong to you. It's a small practice with a huge payoff. More clarity, more peace, more groundedness. And as you get comfortable setting these boundaries, you'll find yourself reacting less and observing more. In fact, you'll start noticing how your refusal to be emotionally manipulated becomes a quiet act of rebellion. You might not realize it yet, but choosing not to react is one of the most radical things you can do in today's emotionally charged world. We're constantly bombarded with provocations, social media arguments, family drama, workplace politics, all designed to hook your emotions. But when you stop taking the bait, when you stop playing the game, you're engaging in a quiet rebellion. This rebellion isn't loud or confrontational. It doesn't need to be. Your peace, your calm detachment, makes you unrecognizable to those who thrived on your former emotional availability. They're used to you being reactive, always explaining, always engaging. But now, you've become a mystery, an unshakable presence that can't be manipulated so easily. You'll notice something interesting. The more you guard your peace, the less drama finds its way into your life. It's not that the world becomes less chaotic. It's that you've stopped opening the door to chaos. This gives you clarity, a kind of mental spaciousness that allows you to make decisions based on values, not reactions. Here's a practical step. Next time someone tries to provoke you, whether it's a snide comment online or a passive-aggressive remark from a colleague, try simply not responding. Notice how it feels to leave that space empty. At first, it might feel unnatural, but soon you'll realize how much power there is in choosing silence over reaction. And yes, some people will accuse you of being distant or detached. Let them. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your job is to protect your well-being, to maintain your clarity. In doing so, you inspire others to reconsider their own patterns, even if they don't admit it. So here you are, standing in your quiet power, no longer a pawn in the emotional games of others. And with this new strength, you're ready to step fully into a life defined not by what drains you, but by what fulfills you. So now it's up to you. Will you keep pouring your energy into people and situations that don't nourish you? Or will you finally choose yourself? Imagine how your life could change if you stopped overthinking, stopped seeking validation, and started living with that calm, quiet strength we've been talking about. Seriously, what's holding you back? I want you to ask yourself, where am I still overcaring? What relationships, habits, or fears am I allowing to drain my peace? These aren't just rhetorical questions. They're the keys to your freedom. Your next breakthrough isn't about doing more. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you. If this resonated with you, then don't keep this transformation to yourself. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, because there's so much more I want to share with you about reclaiming your energy, setting boundaries, and living life on your own terms. You don't have to walk this path alone. And hey, before you go, there's another video waiting for you right here. It dives even deeper into this journey of emotional freedom and authentic living. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Click, watch, and let's keep evolving together. Your peace is closer than you think. All you have to do is choose it.